This simple day trading system has only 2 rules, and it's the exact system that makes me over $1,000 per day as a day trader. And in this video, I'm going to break down the exact trading strategy I use, as well as the psychology rules that you need to have in order to make at least $250 per day as a trader. One of the main parts of my trading strategy that has made me well over $400,000 as a trader is centered around just one simple line on my chart, and that line is VWAP. As you can see on this chart, there's one really small blue line, and this line has literally made me over $400,000 as a trader. So essentially, VWAP is this very small blue line here that tells you the exact average price that this stock has been trading at throughout the day. And this resets daily. As you can see, it completely resets overnight and it starts again the next trading day. So the main thing to pay attention to when it comes to VWAP here, though, is that the larger purchases matter more when it comes to VWAP. So what it's going to do is it's going to weight in the average volume that's being traded at that exact time. So for example, here you can see that there are pretty massive candles at this point in time. So VWAP is going to move a lot faster down. Versus at this area where we don't really have that much volume whatsoever, we're starting to see VWAP flatten out. So even when we're like low on volume in this area here, we're not seeing a massive spike of VWAP because there's not that much volume actually kicking in at this point. But here, for example, where you can see there's massive spikes of volume, VWAP will start to get a lot steeper, which will allow for you to take pretty big positions. Now, trading with VWAP is insanely easy. First, I need to show you the actual setup of the indicator. That way you can get it fully customized the way that I have it. And then I'm going to show you the 2 insanely simple rules when it comes to trading this strategy. So first things first, let's clear this off of our chart and let's go straight to the indicators tab. What I want you to do is type in VWAP. You're going to get volume weighted average price, VWAP auto anchored, a whole bunch of these indicators here. You're going to just click the one that says volume weighted average price. This very first one up here. You're going to get something that looks like this. Now, there are some people that use these green bands here. I'm not really one of those people. So what I will do is I'll go and create a custom VWAP indicator. I'm going to take off the upper band 1, lower band 1, and the bands fill. And so what we're going to have here is just this blue line. This blue line is essentially going to tell us exactly what the average price is at that given point in time. And so there are 2 main rules that I want you to follow when it comes to trading with VWAP. Rule number 1 is I want you to always long above VWAP, and I want you to always short below VWAP. So no matter what happens, if you are above VWAP, you should not be trying to short the stock, right? We want to make sure that at any given point in time, if we are following the trend and we are trading within the trend of the actual stock itself, for example here, we are not going to try to be going short at any given point in time here because we are not below VWAP. This will stop you from a lot of really bad positions that you're entering. This is how you end up getting stopped out super early, and it actually is the main reason why you're trading against the trend. You need to have something that allows you to actually know exactly when to enter and when not to enter. So if we're way above VWAP here and we are trying to go short, you're just signing yourself up for a death wish. This is how you're going to start to actually find entries using this strategy. And remember, psychology is much more important than strategy for the most part, but I still want you to make sure that you have a good strategy first. Then we're going to move on to the psychology, which is most likely what you guys are waiting for. Rule number 2 is that we always want to make sure that we are making our move at VWAP. So we don't want to end up taking a trade when we're really far away. So for example, here in this scenario, we are almost an entire dollar over the average price. So what that means is we're flying higher and higher away from the average price, bringing more and more momentum away from that average price. What VWAP likes to do is come above that average price and then rubber band back down. So as you can see right here, for example, we come all the way up to 629.26 on SPY here, and then we rubber band all the way back down to VWAP just to continue higher. So you're going to see this a lot. And so the decisions that I want you to make are going to be at the actual VWAP line. So for example, this is a really good decision to make, going short in this area when we start to break below VWAP to the downside. This makes a whole lot more sense because you are actually taking the position at the VWAP line and then letting it continue all the way down off of it, right? Instead of just trying to take a position when you're already super massively overextended and you end up not being able to catch that move. So for example, on this chart, our entries are most likely going to be here for an upside trade. and here for a downside trade, right? We want to make sure that we know exactly where our entries are going to be. We want to make them at the VWAP line to make sure that we're getting the best entries humanly possible. So how do you actually enter a position using VWAP? Very, very good question. What I'm going to do is I'm going to illustrate exactly how this position is going to work for you. So first things first, like I said, you always want to make sure you're taking the position at VWAP. Now, if we're starting to break this trend to the downside, as you can see, if we go up to a higher time frame, you can actually see exactly where that change in trend is going to be. So as of right here, if we start to break this move to the downside, this is now going to show me that we're most likely going to continue lower. Why would we say that? Well, pay attention here. We've got higher lows here. So this is what shows us in the upward trend that we're most likely going to continue upward. Well, as you can see here, we have highs, a higher low, and then we're starting to stall out at this area, right? So when we come down to break this previous structure here that was indicating, hey, we're going up. If we break that area, then we're most likely going to start heading down, right? It's very, very clear. It's very easy to see. So let's go over to the 5-minute where we start to find our entries. So when we use VWAP in a strategy, the first thing we want to see is a break in VWAP in the direction that we want to see the stock go in. So for example, here, if we see a break to the downside, we're starting to see, hey, we want to get a continuation to the downside. Awesome. So first thing that we need to see is a break at this area. Once we see a break at this area, the second thing that needs to happen is we need to have some sort of retest of VWAP. Right? So as you can see here, we break VWAP, and the first thing that happens on the next candle is we attempt to come up and retouch that line. We don't even get all the way up to the line, which is showing us that we have a lot more strength to the downside. That means that we have a lot more sellers than we do buyers at this point in time, right? This isn't strong enough to actually come up and retest. So what we need to see next after that is going to be a break in lows. If we get a break in lows, this ends up signifying to us that we're going to continue to the downside. So as you can see here, I would just throw my short position on the moment that we break those lows. The next thing that we want to do is set our stop loss. Now, a lot of you guys have come to me recently and said, I do not know where to place my stop loss. This is my biggest issue. I don't know where to place my stop loss. Every time I place a stop loss, it looks like it just goes completely against me. What needs to happen here, I want you to highlight one main word, and that is going to be invalidation, right? Invalidation is the word that you need to literally stamp on your forehead so that way you know exactly why you're placing a stop loss. So yes, if you place your stop loss here, you're going to get burned, right? Why is that? Because you need to have your place of stop loss in a place that genuinely tells you that you are most likely not going to continue in the direction that you want it to go. So for example, if we were to break VWAP to the upside, that would guarantee me that, hey, we're probably not looking as strong as we thought we were. And even then, let's say we go over this candle high here. That gives me even more clarity on, okay, this is definitely not going to go in our direction, right? So there's a few different ways that you can say it. First is highs. If we break highs, we could say, this is probably not going to go our way. The second will be over VWAP. This just depends on your risk. But this is an invalidated trade at this point. We have failed these lows down here, and we are now looking to continue straight back up and have a lot of speed going over VWAP. That's a bad sign, right? So you can place your stop loss above VWAP that way. Next, once you have that, you will then just hold all the way down until your target. And as you can see, this is a 4-to-1 risk to reward trade. Absolutely fire. Now, since I showed you guys that first entry, let's show you an entry to the upside as well, just to make it a little bit easier to see it from both directions. So as you can see, we come up over VWAP here, right? So the first thing that we need to look for is first a break of VWAP to show that we have strength going in the direction that we want it to go in. Now that we have that, we need to see some sort of retest of VWAP to show that we have the strength to continue higher. So here at this point, we come all the way down to VWAP, we retest, and we look like we want to continue higher. I can't really tell whether or not this candle was going to go and break highs at this point because we're in retrospect. So let's say that I come here and that ended up happening. I can set my stop loss below VWAP. Either way, we want to wait until highs are broken to enter anyway. So let's say, for example, on this next candle, highs do get broken. It's the same exact entry. Stop losses are still below VWAP, right? So you place your stop loss below VWAP and you place your next target up at areas of liquidity. So as you can see, I don't even think we have any areas of liquidity. So in this case, you would just hold this position for as long as humanly possible. So what I would do in this scenario is I would hold all the way until trend ends up flipping on me. So as you can see, up until probably around this point, I would hold this position because up here, we end up coming down and breaking a previous higher low. So I would hold this trade all the way up until that point for a 5-to-1 risk to reward trade. So that's catching a trade on both the upside and downside. If you're able to use this strategy, you are able to catch trades, maybe 1 to 2 trades per day that are absolutely massive and trend heavy trades. So in my trade today, we utilized this exact strategy. This position went for over 43% with my Simply Options Academy mentorship. Now, as you can see, we open up this trade here and you can see very quickly exactly what happens. The first thing that we end up seeing is a break in VWAP. Down here at this area, we see a massive break in that VWAP line. The very next thing that happens is we come back up and we retest. Would I have entered right here on this candle at all, guys? No, right? And the reason why is because I need to see a break in lows first. So no entry at this point, right? When we end up coming up over VWAP and then reclaiming this entire thing, there is a potential for an entry here, right? But what I wanted to pay attention to was I wanted to actually have trend even more massively in my favor. So I ended up waiting to enter that until we got a massive break and then a hold of this area. This ended up getting me in right here instead. But as you can see, it's the exact same strategy over and over again. Not only did we catch that same position, but you're going to start to see that it's very, very simple and very repeatable. Check this 15-minute candle out. So we take that 15-minute break to the downside, retesting that VWAP there. Then we come straight back down. And what happens again, right? Like I told you guys, we're going to rubber band back to VWAP. So as you can see, we come straight back up to that VWAP area and we fail again. So what am I looking to do? This position didn't end up playing out because we didn't actually get down to this low. But what am I looking to do at this point? I'm looking to take a short below this low because if we can get all the way up to VWAP, fail, and come all the way back down to break lows, that means that trend is most likely going to continue in our direction. So you can seriously make some insane money when it comes to trading with VWAP, but here's the deal. You most likely aren't going to, unless you have the psychology of trading down when it comes to using this strategy. So I want to show you some psychology tips that are actually going to break this strategy wide open for you. Now, for psychology rule number 1, you need to hold this position until your point of invalidation is hit. There is absolutely zero reason for you to be selling this until your point of invalidation is met. So whether your stop loss is above VWAP, I would always put my stop loss above the previous high if I entered above below that VWAP line there, right? So my first target would probably be an area of liquidity, which is maybe going to be that area, probably going to be pre-market lows, right? It's going to be my first target down there. So as you can see, this is probably a 1.77 to 1 risk to reward. So I might lower this just a little bit to get to 2 to 1 risk to reward at the very least. So you could have your stop loss like this. Now, here's the deal, guys. There is no reason you should sell this. If we are coming up and we're doing this and we're doing all this and we're making all this move, it hasn't hit our point of invalidation yet, has it? So if that's the case, stop selling. I know a lot of you guys are selling way too early when it comes to trading this strategy, and then it ends up doing this. And you end up going, oh my God, I shouldn't have done whatever. Well, from now on, from this point on, I want you to sit here and lock this in that you are going to hold until your point of invalidation. Not hold until, this thing ends up going all the way up here and you're just holding in the red. That's a really stupid idea. Instead, we want to hold to the point where we know this is probably going to flip on us. And if it flips, then guess what? You take your next, your next trade whenever it happens. You don't want to sit here and force yourself to take as many trades as humanly possible. And of course, if you ended up holding this trade all the way, it's a 6 to 1 risk to reward trade. This strategy is insanely powerful. And the second psychology, I guess you could call it a psychology tip, you could call it more of a strategy tip as well, is we want to trade with the momentum of the market. And so what that means is I do not want to be trading if VWAP is flat. You see how flat this VWAP line is? This essentially means that there's just no volume. There's nothing happening here. So there's no reason for me to get into a position at this point in time. This is one of the biggest things that gets you guys stopped out so fast, is because you're like, I'm going to enter here, we got a continuation. I'm going to enter here, we got a continuation. Guys, you're getting caught up, right? Everywhere between here and here, there is no move because they're just trading sideways, and VWAP is literally holding a very steady line. Take a look at all of these moves that you're seeing here with VWAP. You're seeing a steep increase, a steep decrease. This is where you're seeing volume actually starting to fall heavy and increase rapidly, which makes our trading strategy so much easier. So if VWAP is trading insanely flat, there is 0 point of taking a position. So this is the exact two-step system that I've used to make over $1,000 per day trading. And if you are struggling as a trader, not knowing where to get started, or you're losing money every single day, and you just need that next push, that next step that's going to take you to profitability finally as a trader, well, I've helped over 400 students that are in the exact position that you are at right now, and I've taken them to over $10,000 per month as a day trader. So if you want to join my full direct one-on-one mentorship program, just go to the first link down below. It's in the description. Put in an application and see if you're a good fit. With that being said, I've got this video popping up right here as well. If you don't want to put in an application, it's 100% free, and this video will change your game when it comes to your trading. I can promise you 100,000 million %. I will see you next week. Later. Goodbye.